Okay, the curse of the zero.
Mm-hmm.
I have a theory.
All right.
Okay, so who are the 3 players that got hurt this postseason?
Jayson Tatum, Dame Lillard, and then we had Tyrese Haliburton.
They all wear 0, right? So, I started looking at players that wore 0 historically in the major 4 sports leagues. And, you got your Gilbert Arenases who seem to have some bad luck.
I bring all my guns to work.
Right, which has nothing to do with injury. Right, and that sort of thing. And I went all the way back, and I was like, well, who was the first guy to wear 0? Does anybody know who the first guy to wear 0 was?
Greg Ostertag.
Nope. That was 00, right?
Nope. It was Jim Otto.
Malone.
Jim Otto of the Raiders way back in the day. Center Jim Otto.
Oh.
And so I was like, well, maybe Jim Otto
Single
got
0, double 0.
He wore it was a double or a single. I don't know what it was. I think it was double. Which is even worse, I guess.
So gangster, dude.
So here's the deal. I was like, well, maybe Jim Otto got hurt a bunch, and I was reading his Wikipedia, and he played in all 210 of his games. He never missed a game. So I was like, well, maybe he made a deal with the devil, and he played in all his games, and he took all the good health for all the zeros, and then all of them after that actually have suffered injuries like the ones we've seen in the NBA postseason. That's not the case. What happened is Jim Otto actually had 74 operations. He had 28 knee surgeries. He had 20 broken noses. He had over 200 face stitches in his career. I think Jim Otto started all this. I think it's the curse of Jim Otto. I think Jim Otto made a deal with the devil, and the devil was like, hey, you're going to get to play in all 210 of your games, and then you're going to suffer mightily the rest of your life. And he was like, deal. And then the devil was like, hey, one more thing. There's going to be these 3 NBA players, like 25 years after you die, they're all going to pop their Achilles. And Jim was like, done. And I think it's the curse of Jim Otto. I think anybody that wears 0 needs to be careful, because Jim Otto has cursed the number by accruing over 74 operations.
Did Jim ever win a Super Bowl?
I don't know. No, but he lost 5 AFC championship games, which is also bad luck.
Dang.
Chris, when I go to like a place like a shooting range, I wonder what the back wall is made out of. And after that rap sheet from our guy Jim Otto, it's obvious to me that they just make it out of Jim Otto.
They make it out of Jim Otto, dude. Jim Otto's indestructible, dude.
They full auto Jim Otto all day.
Well, can you imagine what kind of surgeries were they doing back in the day?
I was just about to ask.
They were like Civil War field surgeries.
Man.
Well, they were just cut here. They gave him a bottle of whiskey. Jim Otto used to drink whiskey and bite a towel.
Played games with leeches on his neck.
That's part of the question. Is like 74 operations. He said he had a couple dozen concussions too.
Yes.
What do you think was worse for his brain over time? Like 24 concussions. I mean, you can't get anesthesia that many times, right?
No. So probably he was just raw dogging some of these surgeries. Either that or he had so much anesthesia, to your point, that it was actually bad for his brain. But you tack on the 24 concussions. And Nolan.
What year was he playing?
He was playing in like the 60s and 70s.
That's when 65. Like when they start closing up the face mask, because 20 broken noses is crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Like that's crazy.
Yeah.
But if your face mask is just wide open, you're playing center, I can understand that.
No question.
And that disproves the ever-present theory that without face masks there would be less concussions because people would be less willing to put their face in it.
Nah.
Quite honestly, I don't think the public is ready for a 4K eyeball hanging out of a.
No, that's that's
happened in basketball.
No, that's happened in the football movie we just talked about the other day with Al Pacino, The Greatest Any Given Sunday. Remember the guy's eye falls out?
Oh god.
So anyways, I just caution.
Now here's a guy with one eyeball.
Yeah. Now here's a guy.
Jim also relayed a story where he once got hit so hard by Ray Nitsky that he broke. So helmet and face mask break. He broke his nose, his cheekbone, his zygomatic arch bone, which I think is this thing right here.
Jeez.
Detached the retina in his left eye. He was blind for 6 months after that in his left eye. Didn't leave the game. He didn't leave the game with that.
No way, dude.
Yeah.
No way. They said one time he had like amnesia for 3 days. He was like, his wife was like, "Hey, I'm your wife," and he was like,
Then who's this chick? Yeah, he said.
Or maybe he was just pretending. I might try that one.
This is not my beautiful house.
This is not my beautiful wife. How did I get here?
Oh, and I want to ask you guys this. Do you think I want to say
he doesn't know the talking heads.
I want to say it the right way. But just like when like Tank Dell went down, like that was more of like a gruesome injury, and like I guess the reaction or like seeing your teammate kind of like in agony and pain, like what that does for you in the moment as a team trying to win a game.
Mm-hmm.
Like that game wasn't obviously as important as this game, but do you think if Haliburton goes down and maybe like doesn't have that reaction, even if he knows he's done, and he's just kind of like how like Kobe did. Like Kobe got up and shot a free throw, kind of like big dogged it out. Like I'm asking, like, do you think your teammates seeing that would maybe push them differently than seeing your teammate, your leader, kind of like in agony, kind of like really down, kind of knowing.
I think that can shock you on the football field. I think like the reaction is one thing, but when you see a guy's leg sideways, like on the football field, like that can take the air out of the room a little bit, and guys
especially when it's yours.
Yeah, it's when it's your leg. You might not make any more plays that day. But I do think, like, watching the game last night, you don't need to be a basketball expert to realize this. It just totally threw Indy off. Like, from a basketball standpoint, they're so good at guarding. I mean, it was just like there were times where you couldn't get a shot up.
Yeah.
And so, that was the NBA. That was Achilles talk. And again, like even NFL players, if you're listening to this, be careful when you switch to zero, because there is the curse of Jim Otto.